Alright guys, it is Tuesday, the 27th of August 2019 and you're watching KopTalk.tv. Alright. So guys, I wanted to acquire your thoughts with regards to the possible exit of Bobby Duncan. Great name that, Duncan, I gotta be honest. So apparently Michael Edwards, Liverpool Director of Football, is negotiating the sale of the England Youth International ahead of the closure of the European transfer window on September 2nd. He's the cousin of Liverpool legend Steven Gerrard. He signed for us last summer for £200,000 after running down his contract at Manchester City. There's been a bit of interest in him from Danish side FC Nordsjælland. Is that how you pronounce it? You know, I'm like with names. And now Fiorentina have submitted a buy to loan offer worth more than 10 million apparently. I've been doing a little bit of reading up on the lad. He was I was looking at some old articles. Well, I say old, going back to last year when we signed him. And it was he's really, really, really highly rated. Now we hear this all the time with youth players, especially when we sign them, and when they've turned down Barcelona and Real Madrid and Chelsea and Manchester United to sign for Liverpool. We've had that for years, haven't we? What they did to come to us, and I never really get like that bothered about youth players. Do you know what I mean? Like, because more often than not, you don't ever see them. You never see them break through. And when we sign them, we're told that they're amazing and they're going to be the next this, that, and the other. But very rarely happens. So I tend to wait until they actually, break through into the first team, and then I start paying a bit of attention to them. But he was, it was considered quite a big deal when Liverpool signed him. But now they're already talk of getting rid of him. And judging from some of the conversations and comments on the KopTalk members website today, people are a little bit, surprised that he would be allowed to be sold. Back in August 2018, the Liverpool Echo said that Liverpool had secured the services of one of the most exciting young strikers in English football. A 3-year professional contract after that compensation package was agreed with City. That was $200,000. He's a lifelong Liverpool fan. And in 2016, he said, "My dad used to give me a DVD to go and watch in the car, and it had all of Steven's goals on it." Obviously, Steven Gerrard, his cousin. I used to watch that over and over again, thinking one day that could be me. I've always looked up to Steven. Basically he's related to him and he's a local kid like him, etc. He goes on to say that he's been a big influence. What he achieved in his career inspires me. He always had that hunger and desire to win trophies as well as talent. It was his attitude, character, as Brendan Rodgers would say, and leadership that made him the player he was. So he was spotted as a prolific goal scorer when he was 7 years old. He ended up at Wigan Athletic, who spotted him in action for St Helens Town, and then he was snapped up by Man City at the age of 10. He rose through the ranks at City, 66 goals in the 2015-16 season, and continued to shine for both club and country, but grew frustrated with the lack of opportunities and felt his pathway for the first team was blocked. City were desperate to keep him and offered him a lucrative professional contract, but he decided not to sign it. Obviously, he left there, found himself without a club last season, and the City finally agreed to his wish to negotiate a compensation fee with Liverpool, which is thought to be around $200,000. He said it was a difficult decision for him to leave Man City at the time. In December 2016, he became the first England player at any level to ever score a hat-trick against Brazil. He achieved the feat during a thrilling 4-3 victory in an under-16s international at Brazil's National Training Centre. Obviously, he spoke about how excited he was at that. Now, what the Echo said about his prospects at Liverpool a year ago was that he will start off with the under-18 squad at the academy, and he's bound to need time to get up to speed, having missed so much football over the past year. He retained his fitness last season by training with Wigan's first-team squad. Liverpool are excited to have him on board and believe he has the potential to progress quickly through the ranks. And it was claimed, here we go, that Tottenham, Juventus, Monaco and Roma were all after him at the time, but he obviously turned all of them down to come to Liverpool, which in fairness, if any of those links were true, you would imagine that he did, because he's obviously a lifelong Liverpool fan and because of the connection to Stephen. And it does say here that aside from being a lifelong fan of the club, Duncan was attracted to Liverpool by the fact that there is a clear pathway for youngsters under Jurgen Klopp. And it talks about Brewster being promoted to the first team set up by Klopp, and Duncan will look to follow the same path. But this, people in the comment section are complaining about that article at the time, saying, "Oh, it's just another recycled story." So anyway, it was left out of the what's this? The 26th of August. This is last night. Yeah, being left out of the Premier League 2 clash, the squad away to Southampton because of this interest. He featured in a number of pre-season games this summer, scoring this summer. Did I say scummer? Scoring in the win over Tranmere Rovers at Prenton Park. So it looks like he could be on his way. And again, Liverpool are Liverpool seem to be allowing quite a few kids to go either on loan or maybe even looking at selling them and that. And I spoke about this in a live broadcast on KopTalk.tv on Saturday afternoon. If you join me, I was talking about how it seems like it's a secondary market now in football for the big clubs like City and Liverpool and that. They try and get these youngsters, and then they bring them in for next to nothing, and then sell them for 15 million and 10 million, 12 million, whatever, and it becomes like a secondary market, like a secondary transfer market. So you've got your primary players, your most important players that you're selling for 50, 60 million or whatever, but then you've got this secondary market where you're buying kids in, and if they don't make it, at the end of the, they then sell them on this secondary market, and they're making quite a bit of money from this. And you could turn around there and say, well, it's not really a conspiracy theory, is it? Or like they're not really doing anything wrong, because if the kids are good enough, then they would be given the opportunity to succeed. So maybe a secondary market of such, if you want to call it that, is a good thing, But there are people that think that the priority is in this secondary market in terms of generating additional revenue, and that's why they're quick to entertain offers for these players, maybe a little ahead of time, maybe if they were given a bit longer. But I don't know, you could argue that if you are good enough, you will be in the team, you will play, you will be involved, and you can't wait forever. We often hear about them being called kids when they're like 22, 23 and stuff like that. So I don't know what your thoughts are on this kind of thing. And in particular about Bobby Duncan, do you think this is a good thing, or do you really not give a shit? Because most of the time, guys, I don't care when it comes to the youth players or the younger players, because I've always been the mentality where we won't see them anyway. When we see an article today, guys, saying Liverpool have signed whoever, they're going to be this, that, and the other. I'm like, yeah, all right, I believe it when I see it. And we do see it occasionally. We've seen it recently, but that's just how I think anyway. So. Am I bothered? Am I bothered? Bobby Duncan, I thought something might come of him, I'll be honest. But if that's not to be the case, that's not to be the case. We talk about Harry Wilson. Did you see his goal the other day? Fantastic. Can't believe he was allowed to go out. But there you go. That's up to the club to make their decisions. It's not to do with me. What do I know? All right, guys. So I would like to know your thoughts about that one. Anything in particular to do with this secondary market? Do you think it really does exist? Is there a bit of a thing going on where they're trying to generate more and more money? Is the pressure being put on these youngsters too soon? He was only brought in a year ago, and he's like, nah, that's it. You might be off. So sad when you're a lifelong Liverpool fan and you're Steven Gerrard's cousin. But then again, people will say this is business. You can't have emotion, stuff like that. You can't be emotionally attached. I don't know, guys. I don't know where I am with it. But a bit disappointed to see him go, if I'm completely honest, if that's what happens. So I look forward to your opinions on this one.